Hi, my dandelions, all my friends, and I'm glad to be back. I've been in San Diego for the last few days with my aunt's 90th birthday. We should all be so lucky. Uh, this is my husband, and this is our dog Presley. Now, Presley's boyfriend is right here. She will prefer him over me any day of the year, even though I'm the one who picked her out online. I'm the one who went through all the adoption procedure. It's worse than having a baby. You have to fill out so many forms and get references. I drove to Dallas to pick her up, 5 hours there, 5 hours back. I paid the $300. I feed her, I walk her.
I don't see the problem in this.
And she goes straight to him every time. We're sitting in our recliners, and she comes over to me, obviously wanting something. I stand up. She leads me over to his recliner. She wants me to lift her up into his lap. He's just happy that one of our pets finally prefers him. Yeah, anyway, I'm just the, as they say, the snack bitch. That's what I am for her. But anyway, that's Presley, and we have a cat around here somewhere. She's Priscilla. I wonder where I got those names. Anyway, I am on my series of how to rebuild your marriage after a betrayal. And my husband has graciously offered to come on and let me introduce him. I want my people to know that I'm not doing anything behind his back with this. We are an open book. And I said on my last video it had been 20 or 25 years. I was wrong. It's been
18. It's 18.
18 years. I was thinking 16, 20, I don't know. You lose track after all this time. You see who knows exactly. Now, let me tell you, and this is for anybody who is currently cheating on your spouse, just divorce. Go ahead and divorce, because you are going to ruin what you have already built, and it takes a long time. And what I want to ask my husband, not to grill him over the fire or anything, but I want him to be frank about what it was on his side when the woman is betrayed, and the woman needs to talk about it. Men can compartmentalize, but women can't. We process things by talking about it. And once you find out that there's been a breach of the vows, well, how long did I talk about it?
Well, we still talk about it, and I realized early on that, first of all, this was a mistake that I made, and if I wanted to save this, or at least contribute to my part of saving that, I had to be willing to talk about it until when. There was no end in sight. And early on, yeah, I admit it was very hard to keep reliving that because there was so much pain involved. But it's gotten easier over the years, and I have no problem talking about it now because of the steps that we've taken over the years, and not just we, but also me, because you have to find why you did what you did to begin with, and it all starts from searching within. So I realized that it didn't matter how many times you wanted to talk about it. I was willing to do exactly that.
Well, and Dr. Phil says you talk about it until. Mm-hmm. And that is going to, and for the woman, if you're the woman who's been betrayed, you have to decide at what point is it enough? At what point are you going to stop punishing and start rebuilding, or leave? You have those two choices. Either you're going to rebuild or you're going to leave. And if you're going to stay, then at what point do you stop beating the person over the head? And this can go both ways. Everybody makes a mistake in marriage. I've made financial mistakes between us. He's been very gracious not to, keep reminding me of those mistakes. But what you rebuild will be different from what you had before. it's a whole new ball game. And I think that the first step was becoming completely transparent with each other. I mean, completely. And you're going to want to know details. And I'm going to tell you, you don't need to know all the details, because there's still questions I have, but I let them go. You know, I know enough. We can rebuild, but and he said we still talk about it. We don't talk about it in the way that we used to talk about it for healing. I've asked him some questions since I've been thinking about this series to try to help somebody, but we don't talk about it like we used to.
No, and I'm not
Let's
saying.
be fair.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying when the opportunity needs to be, I don't have a problem talking about it. I'm not saying that we talk about it all the time like that, but when it just comes down to.
Her arm was up a little bit.
Sorry. Forgot now where it was.
When it comes down to talking about it, if it raises its ugly head, sometimes it does out of the blue, not very often, but every once in a while, and he's willing to. He's an open book.
Well, the main thing is the acceptance of knowing that first and foremost, it was I who caused this pain. It was I who did this particular situation, but you have to do some deep soul searching why it even got to that point. And there's a lot of things I realized about myself that I had never dealt with in my life. Never answered those things. And until you find out who you really truly are, you have to go really deep. And there's some questions I can't answer because there is no answer, because even now I'm just like, I don't know why, because the very things I wanted, I was doing exactly the opposite. And, that's so.
And I have to say, not only did we go on a journey as a couple, he went on a journey for himself. I can't tell you how many books we had about, finding who you are as a man, what it means to be a man, those kinds of things. I can't think of all the titles, but a lot of self-help books.
And there are things that you have to go back, really further back into your childhood to realize maybe things you didn't get that you missed along the way that contributed to this.
And we're not trying to give an out to anybody.
No.
If you're thinking about going down this path, don't.
What I'm saying is it's not an excuse for what happens, but it helps you get to a point where you can work toward the process of fixing yourself and fixing the marriage.
There's not an excuse, and it's not going to fix anything that you need to fix. It's going to make things worse.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to say, though, he went on a self-improvement journey. We went on a journey together. And let me tell you, Dr. Phil's, some people make fun of him, but he had Relationship Rescue is the book, Relationship Rescue. I'll put a picture of it here. It's like a workbook. And I just remember we came home every day from work, and we got on our bed, like not in the living room. We were in our area, and we did a couple of pages a night. It's like a workbook. And I think that went a long way towards, helping us understand and heal each other. And that close, intimate time, we knew every day we were spending that time with each other. And there was one exercise in particular that I remember that was a little uncomfortable for both of us. And that is, you sit facing each other, close, not so much that you cross your eyes, but close. And you just look into each other's eyes for like 60 seconds. That becomes the longest 60 seconds of your life because you're not used to doing it. But the more we did it, the more comfortable we got. And it actually got to where it didn't seem like 60 seconds. It got comfortable, and you really start to, the eyes are the window to the soul, you know? And so, what do you remember from that book?
Oh yeah, I mean it's one of those. I mean that exercise especially, um, was very eye opening, and then just thinking, there's an exercise that you say something and then you thank them, for
Okay, I
your
was thinking of
opinion
that
or
one too.
something like
And
that. Yeah.
I don't want to talk over you, but let me put that. So I would say what bothered me, it was have questions, and I would answer that question to him honestly, and he could not say anything back except, thank you for sharing that. I will consider it, or
There was
something
no
like that.
criticism, no judgment, no
No,
nothing.
yeah.
Just
Whatever I said or whatever he said, you cannot say, yeah, but I did that because blah blah blah. No, you just have to say, thank you for sharing that. I take that into consideration, or something like that. And it forces you to actually listen to each other and not listen with the intent of responding, because you already know what your response is going to be. And I think that was extremely helpful. So those are the two exercises we remember, although there's a whole book of them, and we went through every single bit of it. And we are not here to tell anybody that our way is the way. We don't have the way. We only have what worked for us. There was another thing we did. We went to that little marriage seminar over a weekend at the church. And the preacher said something really important that stuck with me. I don't know if he was a preacher or not. He was a marriage person, marriage therapist.
Counselor, yeah.
And he said, your spouse, he was talking to the men, but it goes both ways. He said, your wife is the daughter of Christ, of God. Your father-in-law is God. How you treat her, you'll answer to her father, which we were both like, whoa. And that can go the other way too. My husband is the son of God. You were both made in his image. If you have that faith, we're not trying to tell anybody that you have to have that faith, but it does shed a new light on things when you can look at your spouse through those eyes. And he said something else that we took to heart, and he said, kill the spiders. Not just the physical crawly spiders, but spiders are anything that your spouse has either currently or from the past that is a trigger or an upset. And I grew up in an alcoholic home, and he used to drink beer, and I didn't mind if he drank beer. I didn't want him getting drunk. That was one of my spiders. And his beer consumption was kind of growing. He had a stressful job, and he was drinking more of it. I've never seen him drunk ever, or tipsy. He's seen me on Mike's Hard Lemonade. It kind of threw me under the I'm a whip. But anyway, I've never seen you out of control, and that would be where I would draw the line. But when we heard the message about the spiders, he just got rid of it altogether. And there was another one too. I forgot what it was. Now you've gotten rid of anything that might be a trigger to me. And I didn't really have anything for you that I had to. He grew up in a great family.
Well, once again, every family has, they have situations. So while I grew up in a family totally different than hers, I realized through this time there were a lot of things that I didn't get that I needed, whether it be from my father or whatever. And I didn't know I needed that at the time until I started taking a hard look at myself and, doing self-analyzation. And, you have to be willing, I tell you, guys and ladies, if you go down this path, you better be ready to accept whatever it is you have to do. And I will tell you, it's not worth it, because the lies.
Wait.
No, wait. It's not
worth it.
worth going down that path, because the lies, one lies beget a lie, beget a lie, beget a lie. And that was part of my alcohol consumption too at some point, because you start trying to mask what you didn't realize that you were trying to cover up. So I mean, there's
and part of it is immaturity. I think some people are immature. Some men especially want that attention, that all of a sudden, oh, somebody's in attracted to me. So it's a whole host of things. But in order to be strong against that, you have to be strong within yourself. And I remember Dr. Dobson, when I was in my first marriage, Dr. Dobson said he never put himself in a position to be tempted. So it meant he would never be alone with a female. If he had to fly on an airplane with a colleague, he always had a male colleague come too, or they had separate flights or something. He never even, and that's hard in this society. It's hard in the workplace, but especially if you're not that high on the totem pole. But I always remembered that lesson. You just have to keep yourself from it. So anyway, it's bound to happen, and us sitting here is not going to stop anybody if you're already heading down that path, because your infatuation stage is too strong. Nobody can talk anybody out of that. But it's been a long time since this happened with us. I think we worked hard to build back our marriage, and I think we have a great marriage now. I mean, he treats me like a queen every day of my life. It's like every day he wakes up, like Dr. Phil said, you wake up and how can I make this woman's life better today? And he does. I mean, even down to, I'll ask him to get me a bottle of water, and when he brings it, he goes ahead and unscrews it for me, before he hands it to me. That's just little things, but it means a lot. Those little things add up, all those little things he does. But when I was out in San Diego and I was looking at my elderly aunt and uncle, here they are in the last stages of their lives, probably, well, I'm not going to be a predictor, but it might be the last time I see them. And think about when they were young and, had different kind of problems and stuff in the marriage. And now here they are having to rely on each other. At the end, it's like nothing really matters. And then we remembered my grandmother. By the time she died at 93, her two favorite lines for almost everything was, "This too shall pass, and it doesn't matter, nothing really matters." And you do kind of get to that point, like we've moved on so far from that era that we have so much to live for looking ahead. There's so much going on now that we don't want to, waste our time going over it again. But I understand when it's raw, you have to, because you have to rebuild the memories you thought were the way things weren't, and you have to rebuild that in your mind, like what you thought was your marriage, and then this was really happening. And I'm just going to tell you, it's probably easier just to walk away. It's a hard road to build it back, but if you can do it, and if you have a willing partner who's, just gracious enough to keep listening and holding you and trying to repair, you can do it, and it is worth it. And that's where I would leave this.
Absolutely.
And I just wanted him to come on, so it's not just me saying, "Oh yeah, he knows I'm talking about this," and we're just great, and all that. I needed some proof. He's my show and tell today. and I do appreciate, and I love you dearly.
I love you too.
So, all right, y'all. I will see you the next time. Bye bye.